Alright guys, welcome to another JoJo mobile video, and today I am gonna do a character guide for Vampire Deal. Now Vampire Deal is another character that you are guaranteed to get for free even though he's SSR, and that's because when you first start the game, basically there's a 7-day mission, and on the 7-day mission on the second day you are actually able to get one free copy of this S tier character Vampire Deal. So everyone's going to be guaranteed to be able to get that. So let's take a look at how good is he actually and whether it's actually worth investing in him or not. Now, let me just show you his skills. I don't actually have him on this account, which is kind of why I need to go into here to actually show you. So basically, well, as per usual, right? This is the games in Chinese. If you really want to, you can use X7 Games built-in translation button. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. The formatting is definitely not very good right now, right? You can see there's certain words which are being cut out, etc. But you can get a rough idea what it says. Cause all enemies. So that basically means it's an AOE attack, attacking everyone. 3 segment basically means it will be attacking 3 times, and that is kind of the base level of the attack. Okay, so this one, the first skill, this is the normal skill. So like I said, it's an AOE to all of the enemies for 3 times every single time at 61% base level, and at the highest level, 61% is already the one at the highest level. So that base is 3 times 61. You're talking about 180% scaling. If we just take another attacker, for example, Kakuin, you can see Kakuin is actually able to do 3 times of 270. However, this is only to the front enemy. So basically, if you actually think about it this way, when enemy tend to be 4 characters, you are actually going to be able to do a lot more. Oh, sorry, no. It's 3 times 61, whereas Kakuin is 3 times 270. So even though you are attacking 4 people, 61 times 4 is still lower than 270. So yeah, so the scaling for Deal's normal attack is not actually as good compared to other attacking characters. I can also compare to Caesar, for example. Caesar is doing an AoE attack, and you can see this at base level is at 800%, which is absolutely ridiculous. So Deal definitely in the purely attack scaling is not very high. Okay, now in terms of his second skill, this one it does have this interrupt ability, so that can be potentially useful. And once again, this is not the AOE, and this is now it's a one-time single target, sorry, one-time AOE to all 4 of the enemy units, and you're able to do 1,650. So once again, as compared to other characters, so for example, if we take a look at Kakuin, Kakuin is able to do 5 times 302, so that's about 1500. So Dio is able to do slightly more, but Kakuin have another additional benefit as well. And then if we compare to Caesar, for example, Caesar is able to do 1 times 1100, and what is this? This is AoE as well, and then you have another additional benefit of actually silencing people. So basically, if you actually compare it to other attackers, basically it's kind of obvious what Dio is doing here with his special attack or his ultimate attack. He is able to essentially not do any additional benefits like debuff or buff, etc. He's just literally going there with pure damage. So the damage scaling is a bit higher, but you are losing out on some of the more additional buff or debuff that could be helpful. So there's a bit of a clear trade-off there. Then the next one we're going to take a look at is his passive ability. So this one is just lifesteal. So every single time when he attacks, he is actually able to get 100% lifesteal, and that in conjunction with his ultimate attack, that actually makes him very very strong. Because if you actually think about it, his normal attack is AOE. His ultimate attack is AoE as well. I already talked about how high the scaling is his AoE attack. So if you actually think about every single time he's going to do 100% life steal, that can actually means like Dio is actually very very bulky, despite the fact that he's actually an attacker. So he may be weak, he may take a lot of damage, but every single time when he attacks, he's going to recover a lot of those damage as well. If you actually think about this from like a PvP aspect, because your scaling is higher than the enemy scaling, and you will be able to get lifesteal back on whatever damage you're able to do. As long as the enemy doesn't do more damage than you, you are almost always able to recover full back to full HP, which can actually be very, very strong. So that's basically why I think like Vampire Deal is probably more suited for PvP battles rather than PvE battles, because when it's actually in PvE, the enemy will have much higher stats than you, so you just know where you will be able to lifesteal as much for you to always self-sustain. However, in PvP, when your stats and enemy stats are more or less similar, this can actually be very, very strong for you to actually sustain all the damage and have like a long battle. Then the last one is gonna be his awakening ability, and this is every single time when he attack, he's gonna get 72% extra attack buff. So basically, once again, you're making him a lot stronger as a result. Now, because this is every single time when Dio actually kills someone, in terms of team formation wise, it's probably gonna be very ideal that you actually play Dio as the only DPS or the only damage dealing character on your team, just to make sure that he is able to be the one killing of the enemy every single time, and therefore he is getting all of those buffs. Let's say if you're actually able to kill 3 enemy, that's immediately 216% attack buff to yourself, which is absolutely insane. Okay, all right, so what does this actually mean? So the way I look at Dio is that I think, first of all, he's definitely more of a PvP character for the reason I already mentioned, like the fact that you're able to self-sustain for very, very long time in PvP when the enemy stats are similar to you. Whereas for PvE, I do feel Vampire Dio is like seriously lacking, because first of all, yes, he is able to do a lot of high damage. However, the enemy is going to be able to do more to you, so your lifesteal doesn't really show much. And then if we actually take a look at his ultimate attack is just like straight up damage without any additional benefit like cackling what other characters are able to do. Yes, there's a bit of interrupt, but you don't have any other control or debuff or self buff outside of that. And that basically means when you're actually literally going into a battle with raw power, Dio is just not going to work in PvE when the enemy just naturally have much higher stats than you. So that's kind of why I do feel like Dio is more of a PvP character. Now, it's still actually worth investing in long term. Personally, I actually think he's more of a transition character, because I just personally actually prefer character with additional skills or benefits, like buff or debuff on top of his actual pure attacks. Whereas if you actually take a look at Dio, his kit is very simple, right? It's just literally pure power. It's like pure damage output, like AoE, which is nice, like with his normal attack, and then another AoE with his ultimate attack. So both of his attack moves are AoE. However, he doesn't really offer anything else other than raw attacking power. Right? There's no buff, there's no debuff. Yes, there's a self buff, but that's only for himself. And you can think of this as just, I could just potentially adding that into my raw stats as well. And then there's a bit of lifesteal, which can be useful, but when you actually go into PvP, when other characters are also able to do like buff and debuff controls in order to prevent you from attacking and therefore actually lifesteal in the first place, I just don't think they'll quite cut it towards the end game. So personally, I feel like because Dio is a character that you're able to get guaranteed for free on the second day from the 7-day mission, I think it's probably worth just leveling him up slightly as kind of a bit of transition in the early game, but eventually in the end game you probably find yourself to have much better other choices to play in both PvE and PvP as well.